It's Monaco Yacht Show 2024, and actually my team and I today are not in the show at all. We're a few kilometers up the road in a place called Beaulieu-sur-Mer, and that's because I'd heard that this yacht is in this marina at the moment. It's called Infinity 9, and it's an AvA Yachts KANDO 110. If you watch the Yacht Builders YouTube channel, you know that last week we were in Turkey filming the shipyard and also showing you one of these in construction that my friend and colleague deniz.kaymaz has for sale. But you know, really when you're buying a yacht that's in construction, sometimes it's so difficult to picture what it will be like when it's finished. It's so difficult as well to know what sort of quality the builder adds. Everybody talks a big talk, but what do they actually produce? Well, we're here to find that out by taking a look all over Infinity 9. We're going to start here on the swim platform, which the crew have very kindly arranged with various water toys on display, because this particular yacht is available for charter, which is also a great thing if you're thinking of buying one, to charter one first. Now, AvA talk about this as being an explorer yacht, and again from the Yacht Builders channel, you know that it's built with a steel hull, aluminium superstructure. It has a lot of various characteristics which are very good for explorer yachts, but here we start to really see the reality of a finished one. Apart from the steel hull, you can see a very, very manly crane there, because if you wanted to, you could put a big tender in this area and lift it with the crane, or here they're using them for sea bobs, which if you've ever used one are extremely heavy items. So great area for water toys, but you'll see this is not the only area, and that's not the only crane. The interesting layout of this boat, though, starts here. So let's take a look through here into the lazarette. So through here we have a lazarette area, which is used, you can see, for mostly storage. Here they've got beach towels and a few little bits and pieces of equipment here. This looks like an inflatable toy that they'll use again for the charter market. There's space for dive bottles. This would be a great place for a dive compressor if you wanted to put one here. In fact, they've got all the dive equipment on hangers along there. But then through here we come into the crew mess, nicely proportioned. Remember, this is a 34-meter yacht, so a really decent crew mess area like this is actually a credit to the shipyard. They've been able to do that. But around here we find a very large laundry room. For a yacht of this size to be able to have 2 washers, 2 dryers, and space to be able to do the ironing in there as well is quite remarkable. But the surprising thing is, every other yacht that we've filmed, and we must have filmed 400 by now, if not more, will have the crew cabins right next to the crew mess. Not on this yacht. It's the first time I've ever seen this. The actual crew sleeping area is quite separate to the crew mess. I was talking to the captain about that, and he said it's really not a big deal, because from the galley, for example, it's very easy to walk down the side deck and bring the food down here. And the good thing is that if people are sleeping during the day, which on charter yachts sometimes has to take place, because crews sometimes are working all the way through the night. If they've got a family on charter, some are coming back from nightclubs at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, others are waking up. It really messes up their sleeping routine. If their cabins are far removed from this area, that's got to be a good thing. Through here we have the engine room. Now remember, this is an explorer yacht, so you don't expect it to be terribly fast. It's all about going long ranges rather than getting places quickly. So we have 2 Volvo engines, 650 horsepower each. The captain tells me the top speed is in the region of 12.5 knots, depending on weather conditions. Sometimes they're towing a chase boat as well, but around 12.5 knots. And he said if you're down at 10.5 knots, you'll be burning between the engines and the generator as well about 120 litres an hour, maybe 130 an hour, again depending on conditions. So that's actually great consumption figures. And I've said this before in videos, and I think sometimes viewers don't believe me, but it's not unusual for me to ask captains what's the range of the yacht, and they scratch their head. This captain did know the range, but a lot of captains actually don't know the range of their yacht, because their interest is in fuel burn. How big is their tank? In this case it's 40,000 litres. How much fuel are they burning? And they're constantly watching the fuel burn, and they produce what's called a fuel chart, so that they can actually see, according to their RPM, how much fuel is being burning. On this yacht, 10.5 knots is the absolute optimum speed to range. fuel consumption, and you'll easily get 4,000 nautical miles plus of range, so you can cross the Atlantic on that. Just one other thing while we're on that subject, again, interesting conversation with the captain, who's very well informed. They did, or he did, a calculation, and he believed after his calculation it was actually cheaper to put the yacht on Dock Express, which is a self-sinking ship where you can literally sail in and sail out of the ship, but basically to take this yacht on a ship across the Atlantic rather than do it on its own bottom. That's a calculation that he's made, and also of course you save the engine hours and you give the crew an opportunity to be able to rest up perhaps a little bit as well while you're doing that. So that's the engine room. The only other thing I really wanted to point out in here was that amazing fuel manifold. That's a one-off custom piece made by the shipyard so that you can basically transfer fuel from different tanks and such like by using that manifold there. It's a lovely piece of engineering, and in my opinion this is a beautifully engineered vessel. Just one other thing as well to mention is that a lot of shipyards will cover all of this kind of thing here. And I get that, I get why they do it. It looks a lot nicer when it's covered, but AvA felt that to be a proper commercial, industrial style of explorer yacht, a rugged explorer yacht, they felt it was much better to leave all these things exposed for easy access and also to be able to keep a check on them. Let's take a look now a little bit at the guest areas on board. So we exit on the side deck from the engine room. As you can see, you can also enter from the lazarette. Beautiful area here for guests for the actual aft deck seating area. But let's take a look inside too. And here we start to get really a good feel for the quality of the interior on the yacht. I feel very satisfied with what I've seen on the engineering side in the engine room. It looked very, very well put together indeed. And talking to the captain, he's certainly, captains are the first people to complain if the yacht's got technical problems. He seemed super happy with this vessel. Quality interiors are beautiful. I think what I'll do here is I'll let the pictures do a little bit of the talking for me, because I don't really need to say anything. It's just marvelously put together. By the way, when you're on a yacht, looking at it for yourself, it's always good to look up at the fitting of the ceiling panels, because the lesser quality shipyards will often get them a little bit out of line. And it's not just a question of snobbery for wanting everything to be perfectly matching. It also, when things are like that, it will often result in creaks and noises as the yacht moves through the ocean and things are not quite fitting correctly. But this is beautifully appointed. This was rather nice because it's a charter yacht. You probably noticed that they prepared some beautiful sushi for us when we arrived. Some alcohol-free cocktails, which were absolutely lovely as well. And then there's a series of doors here, which are actually for the crew, and we'll look at these later. But you've got access to the crew cabins here. A very large day head here. On the hull that's being built in the shipyard, this storage area here is actually going to be used for the master stateroom, which is on the main deck. You'll see that the layout on this one's a little bit different. So this is a VIP stateroom. Still lovely size, by the way, very, very spacious, very light from those big windows there. You've got lots of wardrobe space, a bathroom there. But on the one that's in construction, since this will be the master stateroom, it's a little bit bigger, and they're getting that by using that space there that's currently used for storage. But again, look at the finishing. It's absolutely beautifully put together. It's quite simple, but very, very elegant indeed. Lovely woodwork, lovely cabinetry, lovely upholstery. I don't think anybody can complain about this. Below deck we have 4 staterooms, very, very simple layout. There's really no need to do anything too fancy or try to be clever with these kind of layouts. 4 nicely distributed staterooms are perfect. So here we have the single beds, but through here It's in a double bed configuration. You can actually either separate them or put them together, which is great again on charter, because if you've got kids who want to have their own separate beds, you can do that. If you've got a couple staying, you've got that opportunity too. And then these double cabins are here as well. Again, beautifully appointed, really lovely showers here. I mean, just have a look at this, Slava. I'm not particularly tall, but that's good head height here, and a nice size for the shower in here. So that's the guest areas on this yacht. Let's take a look for a moment at the master stateroom too. And the owner's stateroom on Infinity 9 is on the top deck. You have this gorgeous amount of closet space here, and then you come through to this really, really nice stateroom. It's such a shame that we're filming in a shipyard today with work going on outside, because if this was in the Turks and Caicos Islands of the Caribbean, the view out of that window would be magnificent, I can imagine. So as we've said, lovely big stateroom here. Closet space there, and then have a look at this for a bathroom. This is beautiful. There's only so many times that I can say it seems like a much bigger yacht, and I probably say it too often about other yachts as well. But the fact is that the difference that you get when you have a displacement hull rather than a planing hull, the difference that you get when you have a tri-deck rather than a raised pilot house, the difference that you get from all of that extra volume is absolutely notable. It really is, and it's literally feels like twice the boat if it was a planing hull with just a raised pilot house and a big flybridge. You get all of this extra deck space, really big shower there with 2 shower heads, and then this becomes like a private terrace area for the owner. Such a glorious area. I mean, I can just imagine in the morning coming out here, sitting down there having coffee from a mocha, just crashing and chilling and enjoying the scenery, and then making my way up to the Sundeck. One look at the Sundeck actually reminds me why this is so popular on the charter market. Look at this beautiful seating area here, this dining area. The table actually folds up and goes down if you prefer to use it as a coffee table. These seats can be rearranged however you like it. Actually, the yacht was at the Formula One, I believe, this year, and they completely rearranged this area. I think they had a big television screen, because you may not believe it, but when people are on a yacht at the Formula One, often people enjoy to watch the Formula One on the television, because you can see all of the details going on at the same time, hear the cars roaring past. This lovely jacuzzi tub here, and honestly I've got to take my hat off to the crew who made such a big effort for this video today. Even though it's in the dock in a shipyard, they've got the jacuzzi running, they've got all the cushions out, they've even set the table for us. I just think that a crew who do that for a video shoot for us, how well are they going to look after their guests when they're on board? I bet this is a great charter yacht to be able to use. Lovely bar area here as well. I think this is just a fantastic area, to be honest. You've also got the helm station, which actually on yachts like this, very often you don't have a helm station up here. I think it's a good idea to have it though. For visibility, it's just a perfect place to be able to run the yacht from when you're not running it from the bridge. And that kicks off our part where we'll start to show you some of the technical areas and the crew areas on board. So from the flybridge helm station, you can access immediately the bridge. And this, to me, is a very business-like looking bridge. Everything's black, which anybody who runs a yacht, especially if it's running at night, will tell you this is the right color to have it in to avoid reflections. Everything's easily accessible. You've even got a little workstation here, a little seating area for guests, I guess, to be able to come and enjoy watching the navigation. I was surprised to see that the captain's cabin is behind the bridge. Not because that's unusual, but it's unusual on this size of a yacht. This is about the limit of where you'll find a captain's cabin behind the bridge. And they've done a great job. It looks really comfortable. It's a decent size without compromising the guest space that's behind it. Let me just step outside though, because there's some important things to show here. So first of all, you have the wing stations, obviously either side, which is great because for the captain, he can really see exactly where he is to the yacht next door, for example. Of course, he'll have his crew too with their VHF radios counting him in, but really good strategic positioning. And I mentioned earlier that on the aft deck, that wasn't the only crane and the only water toys. Look at this. This is a serious bit of kit here, and big enough to be able to lift larger tenders. This looks very much like a work tender to me. They probably use it for like garbage runs, for example, when they're taking the trash off of the yacht. I highly doubt it's used for guests. But you do have two big jet skis as well. Actually, the captain mentioned they tow a chase boat. So I guess the chase boat is used to take the guests to and from the shore. This is more for sort of work functions. So that's all I can really say about the foredeck area. But do you remember, I'm sure, that I said to you there's an unusual layout with the crew. So let's see what the crew cabins are like as well. Actually, before I show you the crew cabins, I need to show you the galley. This has been very well laid out because there's only so much space. You know, yachts design is all about compromising, taking from one part to give to another. So they've done a really good job here because here, the other side of here, you have the steps going up to the next deck, but still they've been able to utilize all of this workspace here and get lots and lots of fridge freezer space. Again, we come back to the fact that this is designed to be an explorer yacht. So it's not just about the steel hull, it's not just about the long range, it's about how much food you can carry for very, very long passages too. And that looks to me like you can carry a lot. So we come through here, and you'll remember that we're now back in the guest areas, and access to the crew is through here. So to remind you, we had the crew mess and the laundry in the transom, and here we have the crew cabins. 1, 2, 3. I really like the finishing of these cabins actually, and the space of them. This is not a bad space at all for crew on this size of a yacht, and it's beautifully appointed. Each cabin has got its own bathroom, of course. The chief engineer will be in the forward one, the rest of the crew here, and as you saw, the captain's cabin above. On this particular yacht, the captain and his partner work together, so it's actually an extra 2 crew that's behind the bridge. But beautifully appointed areas. Final words on this yacht, we'll say upstairs. It was well worth taking an afternoon off from Monaco Yacht Show, as fantastic as that show is this year, but I did want to come and see this yacht, especially since we've just come back from the shipyard. We're promoting one of these that's in construction now for sale. It's so important to see what sort of a job the shipyard does on a finished one, and I have really enjoyed looking around this. The quality is very, very good indeed. There was really nothing that jumped out at me that I could criticize, but more to the point, the captain seemed very happy with the yacht. He didn't have a bad word to say about it. They're successful on the charter market. The crew seemed to be very happy with their accommodations. It's a very happy vibe actually on the yacht, which is always a good indication that the yacht itself is well built. So I guess the message is, if you're thinking of chartering one of these, this is available for charter. It's called Infinity 9. And if you're thinking of buying one, I think this is really well worth looking at if you're serious about buying an explorer yacht. And if you are thinking of buying one, do contact my friend and my colleague, deniz.kaymaz.